Hi guys, Roni from the Woolchemist here. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the fineness of wool. Not all wool is created the same. In fact, there is huge differences between how fine the wool is. And there is a magic little number that can tell you a lot about the fineness of the wool that you're about to purchase. In some cases, it's harder to find out the micron count of the wool. In other cases, it comes readily printed on the label, so it makes your life very easy. That's what I'm aiming to do with my yarns as well. I print the micron count on the label for you guys to know, and I like to also put it in the descriptions in the shop. Micron. Micron count basically describes the thickness of the fiber. It's the diameter of the wool fiber that it's made up of, and it can range from anything from say 11 to 50 usually, but when it comes to commercial yarns, anything under 23, or I should say between 17 and 23, would be considered extra fine. Those wools that are under 23 in micron will usually feel very, very nice against the skin. They're not gonna cause this itchy, scratchy, irritating feeling when you're wearing it, even if you're sensitive to wool. Anything above 23 will probably feel a little bit coarser, although I have to say that it's entirely up to the person. Some people are not sensitive to even a 25 or a 27 wool either. They are very happily wearing it around their necks. I personally am a little bit sensitive to wool that's higher than 23, 24. I can still happily wear them as socks or mittens, but I don't really like to wear them around my neck, around the sensitive skin around my neck. It's a personal preference, and I suggest that you try a few different micron count wools and feel it for yourself what you can tolerate, because there is a big factor there. The finer the wool, the more you're gonna pay for it. It's just a fact. So I got you a few examples from my own stash to kind of show you the difference between wools. And I usually work with an extra fine 19.5 micron superwash merino and blends thereof. But I actually have one kind of wool in my repertoire, which is a so-called basic sock yarn. I keep this basic sock because I wanted to give a cheap alternative. It's much lower in price than the extra fine wools, and it's still gorgeous. It's still got very good properties. You can make lovely things from it. And like I said, there is people who are not at all sensitive to a little bit rougher wool, and there is also garments which could benefit from being made from a little bit coarser wool. I personally don't see the point in using your softest wool for a pair of socks. My feet are not sensitive at all. They're not prone to itching if the wool is a little bit higher micron count. Or if I would make something for the house, like a beautiful cushion cover or a bed cover, I would certainly go for a higher micron count because it's still lovely and you can save quite a bit of money if you go with those. So this one here has a micron count of 27. It's considered quite high, so you can feel that compared to my normal 19.5 micron extra fine and blends thereof. If you put them side by side, they pretty much look identical. They actually also the same thickness. The basic sock has a little bit more of these fibers sticking out than the extra fine, but it actually comes down to the touch and the feel. When you stroke them and when you put them against your skin, you can straight away feel that this one is a much softer, much more luxurious feel against your skin than this one. However, for certain projects, you definitely don't have to bring out the big bucks and invest a fortune into the very, very fine wool, because this will do just fine. There is, however, not only the wool that has micron count. Wool, by wool I mean the merino wool, the wool that comes from the sheep. There is other animals that give us fibers of which we make yarn. One being the Angora goat, which gives us cashmere. The other one being mohair, also from a goat, and then we have alpaca, which is part of the camel family, and as you know also has lovely fibers that we can spin yarn from. I have a few examples for that as well. Now, Micron Count comes in play also with these. This wool is made of extra fine merino wool, but it's blended with some cashmere, and as such it's even softer. And this one is 72% kid mohair, super kid mohair with silk. So this is made of goat mainly. And then this one, it doesn't have a label because this is actually from my own personal stash that I dyed for myself. This one has 20% cashmere, 10% silk, and 70% alpaca. Extremely soft, like you would not believe. I actually don't have any of this left in my shop because it completely sold out, but with my next batch I'll be sure to bring some more for you. The thing with the Micron Count of these, because of the structure of the fibers of alpaca, cashmere, and mohair, they actually feel softer even with the same exact Micron Count. So 23 micron alpaca will feel similar to a 20 or under micron merino. I don't personally put Micron Count on my alpaca because I have no idea, but as a rule of thumb, if your yarn says baby alpaca on it, it will definitely be between 20 and 23 microns. Royal alpaca will be under 20, baby will be 20 to 23. And anything that has royal or baby written on it is sure to be just absolutely a brilliant softness, so you don't have to worry about itching at all. Same with mohair. Mohair is ranging also between kid, and then obviously there's the grown-up goats. But if you have a yarn which is kid mohair or super kid mohair, you can rest assured it's going to be very, very soft. Cashmere will always be incredibly soft, so any yarn that contains some of cashmere in it is probably gonna be the softest yarn you ever had next to your skin. So yeah, if you're buying yarn, have a wee look at the Micron Count. If you can find out, do find out. I can tell you as much: if you're knitting anything that's gonna be sitting close to the skin, if you're knitting anything for a baby, for example, or you're doing shawls, scarves, probably hats as well, because this area can be sensitive to itching. Pick something that will be under 22 microns. That's my personal recommendation. But if you're making socks, or if you're making textiles for your house, cushion covers, throws, bed covers, it's really not necessary for you to go with the softest, because it's not really going to make a difference. And in fact, the coarser fiber would mean that your item that you make from the wool is going to be sturdier. It will withstand the frequent washing much better for you. So there is definitely a place for the basic yarns, for the little bit coarser yarns, which will be still the most amazing colors. And there is a way to use them up very, very nicely. So yeah, I hope that this little video gave you a little bit of information on all the different Micron Counts and all the different fibers that you can get hold of. And if you have any further questions, feel free to pop it in the comments or just send me a message and I'll be happy to answer to the best of my knowledge.